Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar with Techni Ice. I'm Anna, I'm one of the campaign managers here at Birchal. Now, just before I introduce Graham, who really needs no introduction, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I'm beaming in from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Now, Birchal is working with Techni Ice on their upcoming crowdsource funding offer. What is crowdsource funding, or CSF, you might ask? Well, it's also known as equity crowdfunding. It's a relatively new form of fundraising in Australia. It lets startups and small businesses or growing businesses raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors or wholesale or sophisticated investors through an online platform. That's us, Birchal. So instead of seeking traditional funding, from sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to their general public, their community, their customers, people who absolutely love what they do, to raise money in exchange for shares or equity in their business. Now, Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for the offer. Promise we're nearly done with the boring stuff. The information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes only.
It's a wooden stand, perfect for that. It's perfect for that. Right outside the front door, you'll see it.
Go grab it. And should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. Please, as always, do your own research. Always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. That's all available on birchal.com, which is, I dare say, how you found yourselves here tonight. We've just got a message from Hadrian, who seems to be having difficulty with their audio. Hopefully you can check your settings. Just if anyone else is having trouble with their audio, just to check that you can all hear me. All good, done, perfect. No, anything can happen on these Q&As, so always good to check you can all hear me. So just a little bit of quick admin on how today's session is going to run. You've had almost the boring bits done by now from me. We'll hand over to Graham, who's super thrilled to take you through a bit of a presentation all about Techni Ice's journey, which is an exciting one. I can't wait to hear more. And then we'll have a question and answer time. So during the presentation, you'll notice there's a Q&A bubble down the bottom. Please pop your questions in there and we'll get to them at the end. We are recording this session, so if you have to run off, midway through, I totally get it. We're super busy. We'll send the recording through afterwards, and also feel free to share with your friends or anyone who couldn't miss it. Spread the word and make sure they don't miss out on this opportunity. So that's enough from me. I would love to introduce you to Graham from Techni Ice, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, who's going to take us through a bit of a short presentation. And over to you, Graham.
Hi. Yeah, so Techni Ice was started back in the 80s, but back then it was solar energy. We were one of the pioneers in that field, and then we moved into thermal energy instead of electrical energy, making that more efficient. So that happened in about the mid-90s when we released the ice pack. If I'm looking all over the place here, I've got a screen down here I'm supposed to look at, and the camera up here, and I hope I get it right. So all this time, I guess, over this time, we've been accumulating lots and lots of customers from, Qantas and the Army and Coles and lots of different companies along the way that we've found solutions for. And now I guess we're in a situation where we've already expanded into a lot of countries, and I've got a big echo in my ear here. I'm just going to try and see if this is the problem. Hang on. That's better. And so we've got a lot of different countries we've expanded into, and a lot of different markets that we've expanded into, and now we're sort of on the pinnacle of introducing some pretty interesting things, we hope. And one of them is a vending machine for our dry ice, reusable dry ice, which is basically a polymer and textile based ice pack that has what's attracted the airline business with I think Qantas, Jetstar were the first ones to use it, and now is floated by in Emirates and quite a few airlines are making the transition now, mainly because it's a safe alternative to dry ice, but can still go to the same temperatures. I'll show you. I don't know, it might be a bit quick to show you over here. Here's a cooler running. This is our signature cooler, and that's sitting at 19.8, just on minus 20 degrees. So that's minus in an ice box, and that was just freezing these in a domestic freezer. So they actually dropped, because of the eutectic effect of them, they actually dropped lower than what the freezer can even freeze them at. So that's really what this is about. This product has been developed and developed and developed and developed, and improvements made over the years. And it's flexible, and you can cut it the size and whatever. And it can go much colder than this. But that's a simple way to show you why a lot of industries and so many people are wanting this stuff now, because it's doing things like this. Running an ice box as a freezer instead of a fridge quite easily. So, and you can use it over and over again. So for cold chain stuff with deliveries like Coles and I think companies like that use it, it's a solution. So I don't know what else I was going to talk about. Anyway, so that's our customers. There's a lot of other markets that we have. Pathology, a lot of you can see some of that's just some of the clients up on the screen there. There's a lot more than that, but that gives you an idea. Most of these customers are big organisations, and we're finding now that as we've expanded across country, Eastern Europe was one of the most recent areas we've gone into. We've opened Techni Ice Croatia in Zagreb, and so you get the same sort of customers in every country, and we really want to be able to, rather than turn those people away because of not being able to produce enough product or whatever. You've got two issues we have in this business. One is which I guess a lot of businesses have got. When you start dealing with these really big companies, they naturally expect you to give them credit terms, and so 30 to 90 days is pretty common. So we want to be able to offer that, because that's something they're used to, and that's something we do. But the bigger you get with the more customers you've got, that you finish up carrying quite a few of these credit accounts. We're not concerned about it because of the level of the customers. They're either government or they're large public companies or whatever. So in the case of the airlines now, that's sort of, we haven't promoted it to the airlines. After it was used on Jetstar, we just then had a series of airlines, because it's already being used in the airline industry successfully, and even now by the companies that actually put the food on the aircraft. I don't know if you can see there. I'll just go to another slide here. Oh, here we go. There's something. I think this is getting off. Anyway, there's airlines. There's pathology. There's medical. There's first aid. There's another huge industry that we didn't even realise our product was being used in, and all of a sudden we're getting all these inquiries, and that's from the funeral industry, because it's a very economical way to keep bodies cold for a long period, and so now that's happening a lot. But for those that don't know the product, it starts off like that. So you can actually send it to a customer dehydrated, literally. And you just put that in some water. There's a powder in here, which is a non-toxic food-grade polymer. And you pop it in water. The water activates the polymer, and then it's good to go, for many reusers. So it makes it an economical product to export. Some countries like Thailand, especially, use a lot in their dairy industry and things like that. Off the track there a bit. Anyway, the slide that's been put up here, one of them is, okay, that kind of just shows you that box on the right there is, we got a request from the St Vincent's Heart Transplant Unit to design them a box for heart transplants, and so we did. and that's it there. So that's a good thing then that can be used across any heart transplant areas in the world. The one on the left, that is the world's first hand transplant. And again, you know, they've trusted a Techni Ice icebox to make sure the hand goes into the theatre at the correct temperature. A lot of that picture that's actually up there was actually, I think, in the Herald Sun or the Age or something. Quite often when these things happen, we just happen to get free exposure because you know, some of these stories, the first-hand transplant or whatever it is, it gets it gets a lot of press coverage. So that's just part of the medical market. We already supply a lot of hospitals in Australia, and they use them for everything from epidurals, you know, where they're, I've only learned about that too, but how they feel it till it gets cold or something, and right through to this sort of area in theatre. And then the other side of that is the pathology market, which you know, we supply major pathology places. But anyway, but around the world, these things are you have the same sort of things in every country. So we don't want to go getting them too excited about our product yet until we can make sure that we've got sufficient production to without affecting our normal stock levels. And there's lots of other things that we want to do too, and that is put some experienced people into these areas to grow these verticals, because without that, you know, we're just going to be, as we've always been, basically waiting for the orders to come in. They come in and then we fill them, and it's just been going up and up and up. There's another shot coming, I think, onto here somewhere. Oh yeah, with warehousing, what we've tried to do, we opened a warehouse there in Miami, so we've got that. We'd like to open more of these around the world. These are in Australia, and because we want to get our products and have them close to where our markets are. Now, eventually, we get lots of offers to manufacture our products and things like that. And we've designed things like this box I was using here, which it's right next to me. That's won lots of awards around the world, and at the moment, as far as we can see, it's the longest lasting cold chain box in production. So it's won all sorts of accolades, and that's something that that will be going into the consumer market, mostly for people that want very long periods of refrigeration without any power. There's another shot coming up here, I think. Oh, this just shows, this is back on the airline bit. That's how they get used generally in airlines. They're used behind the scenes as well. So the idea of using them in trolleys is so that you get good thermal contact on top of the drinks and food and so on. And of course, they can run very, very cold, and they're flexible, so they can open the drawer, lift it, pull the drink out, put it down, and it's got good thermal contact. You can see the bottom shot on the right there is actually preparation. So there are some companies, I think companies like Gate Gourmet and stuff like that. They're the main suppliers of of food onto these airlines. So we've got those. They're using it as well to prepare food in their kitchens and get them out to the airport and onto the planes. So they get used on the way to the planes and in the cabin. The big advantage, of course, is they're not a gas like dry ice. They're a safe food grade product made from polymer and textiles. Got another one coming up. Okay, you can see there, I think that one on the left there, it's taken in Europe. That again is one of our markets is pathology. That's what that's showing. I'm getting back. I just made some notes here in the diary. So these are more of those international markets. We've been in Greece now for I don't know, I guess more than 15 years, and we've got, there was a lot of business in Russia. They started off and started ordering containers, and then the war broke out there. So that's sort of on hold because we can't get paid for that if we keep supplying them. America, Philippines is very big. Thailand is big. Croatia is growing strongly. So there's and in America, another thing we want to do is fill up our Miami warehouse with stock again. Because since there's been a lot of independent reviews over there, I guess you'll be able to find them online. But they've created the reviews that have happened by independent organisations over there. It's beaten everything that's been put up against, of course, including Yeti, which is a market leader in America. So there's quite a lot of people champing at the bit to get hold of one of these boxes. Can you pick that up on the camera, Rob? I don't know if you can. On here, you can see just some of the, that's just some of the awards that it's won across the world. They come in 7 sizes, these boxes, but that's New Zealand. It was Consumer Best Ice Keeper, New Zealand's sister company of choice in Australia. 3 consecutive choice awards in Australia, Europe, the Best Cooler Award, United States, Best Insulation on the Planet, they said. Another one from the United States, their ice life is simply unparalleled. Coolers on longest lasting cooler tested to date. I'll just go a little bit quickly why these coolers are so good. Apart from the fact we developed it from the ground up, they use dual airlock seals, so it perfects a seal on an ice box. When you do that, you create an airlock around. They're using 2 different types of seals, and you can see there the lids and walls on this box are huge, and it actually seals down onto 2 different points here as well to create that airlock. It's even got an insulated bung. We did everything we could possibly do to make sure that the energy stayed inside the ice box. So it's also elevated from the ground. We had customers transporting stuff around the place on light aircraft up in the Northern Territory and places like that where they leave them out in bitumen, things like that. So we elevated it off the ground so you get air circulation under the esky instead of having the ground heat affect anything. So yeah, but that's something now that we want to really ramp the production up and get it into the US warehouse and in Australia. One more thing I'll mention is I won't mention names, but we've just signed for a very big, I think the biggest or the second biggest chain in Australia of outdoor recreation stores right across Australia, and so those will be in their stores in November, I think it is. So that'll sort of very, very much put it into the retail market, which is great, and our ice packs. Oh yeah, more. They're just more customers. What's that one? That's the Rural Emergency Services or something. Ambulance and CFA and the SES. All these people are customers. So they get used for all because of their ability to keep such a low temperature, even in bushfire zones and things like that. There's just endless markets for these products across all sorts of geographical and physical markets in so many areas. What else can we say? Yep. Hang on. I'm looking again. Look, that's developing solutions. That's when people come to us with a thermal solution or a thermal problem or something they're trying to achieve, we usually manage to come up with a really groundbreaking solution for them. And we can make all sorts of variations of our ice packs using metallized polyester as a surface, or other surfaces like we're using, and there's a lot of things that we can change in terms of manufacturing on rolls or in sheets to different sizes, all sorts of things. So and then the other side of that, I think in that in that slide there, that's a Qantas test. You can see there we've got the Qantas trolley and that on our benches, and we've been testing the insulation quality of the actual trolleys so that we could make sure that the solution we give them is way superior to what they had. I'm not sure what else is coming up next. This is some of the overseas markets. You know, the boxes and ice packs have an amazing ability to keep things very, very cold in very, very hot, challenging conditions. So anywhere where they don't have refrigeration and they need to leave, you know, boxes out all day and open and close them frequently and so on, our products are making their way all over the place. We don't really know where a lot of the leads come from. Sometimes you just get orders from wherever, and sometimes you're lucky enough to find out where they're being used. It looks like the guy on the bottom, that's for food deliveries. So that's another area that is big. When there's no power during the floods, you know, Techni Ice is the absolute answer, because it's able to keep things cold without any outside power source. And but it's another solution. So I'm just waiting on the things to appear on here so I can talk to it. Oh, this is another thing that happens. We do hundreds of these different companies, and this is custom branding. We get approached all the time by a lot of big corporations. They want to give the best possible product to their customers or to their you know, to their contacts that reflects the quality of their own brand. So so these people want to make sure that they get a Techni Ice box, because they know that the customers will be aware that it's probably one of the best choices they could have got for performance and longevity. And that's just a very small portion of the companies that use it. A lot of these people, they just keep ordering and ordering and ordering. Most of them like to have our brand embedded on the back of the mold or whatever, so that their customers can actually see that it's a Techni Ice box. But it's a great way to promote. It's you know, these boxes, I guess, get used by the customers and taken out to, you know, to barbecues and events and all sorts of things. And so it's a great way if a company wants to put its brand out there and they order, you know, 100 or 1,000 or whatever. There's lots of them. It's a great way to get their brand out there regularly as their customers and whatever take them out to lots of events and places. We recently did some for the Australian Open. Again, we did the previous time as well. So they go out, and the women's what was that last one they did? The Women's World Cup, I think it is. Again, going out to all the stadiums, using for supplying drinks to the competitors, the same as the Australian Open. So anyway, that's something we do. We do custom branding, custom design if people want it. In some cases we've made different style lids for some of them, and different things for people. So it just depends on what the customer wants. Everything from high-end cooler bags with multi-level insulation, bonded insulation, right through to all types and shapes and sizes of ice boxes. Some of these boxes, you can't see them on the screen, but some of these boxes actually go up to about 1,100 litres, so they'll hold over a tonne of ice or ice packs or food or whatever. So yeah, that's something else that we do. Oh, what's that? There's more. There's more. So you can see a lot of these brands here would be well known. Most of the one on the left, I think the white one, that's Australian government. We also supplied the health department for the vaccine rollout during COVID. There's lots and lots of, you know, it's just great, because a lot of these people, we've already earned their trust. We've been going so long that they just come to us, and it's great. So we just want to keep that going. I think that's our last slide I've got now. That's it. is there any questions out there from anybody?
Awesome. Thanks, Graham. That was super interesting. I'm sure everyone else on the call found that super fascinating. I certainly did. So we'll throw to questions and answers. We've got loads that have come through. So just a quick disclaimer, obviously, we'll try and hit as many as we can. Any that we don't get to, we'll have that report and we'll share it with Techni Ice. And any questions that we don't have time to get to, the team will definitely touch base with you after the webinar to make sure that we can answer all of your questions. So please fire them through, and Graham will try and get through these as many as we can. And if I kind of condense or shorten anyone on the call's questions, it's just to try and move through these as quickly as we can. So we've got a few questions about your overseas expansion. Are there a couple of countries in particular that you could call out who are, you know, showing the most interest? And then I guess, could you talk to, you know, you're raising funds, you're coming to Birchal, you're looking to your community to raise capital. Would that money be used for technology or maybe expansion to these overseas markets?
I'll just turn the volume up a bit here. Mostly expansion, because well, a bit of both, but more expansion than anything else. I mean, the thing we've got that we really want to get into the market will be our vending machine for the ice packs, because you know, that can potentially change the market around the world of how people buy wet ice, you know, which just wastes trillions of litres of water. So it's got a lot of environmental benefits, and that's something we really want to do. We know that it's going to be successful. We've tried just putting frozen ice packs in a few stores, and they just went off great. When people are given a choice to either buy ice that's going to melt or something that's going to stay much colder for much longer and they can reuse again, especially when it becomes more economical as well, as it is, why wouldn't you? You know, so we're hoping to get that around the world. We're still trying to work out whether it would be better to distribute that through existing iceworks or through independent people. We've had quite a lot of interest in people that have found out what we're looking at longer term. In the short term, we want to put some more staff on and give a lot of these customers that are coming to us great service, and make sure we've got the stock there for them when they want it, so that we don't have to turn people away that want our products. We want to really make sure we've got, and of course, like I mentioned before, carrying all these accounts is something we have to, every time we take a customer on. It's great when we get these big corporations come to us, and we don't want to knock back their business, but we know part of the deal will generally be giving them, you know, credit.
Yeah. Awesome. And so you've mentioned expansion to new markets as well. Could you share a little bit of information about, other than Australia, who we know love your products, maybe what's the next sort of biggest region internationally that use the Techni Ice products?
Well, look, the most recent one was Croatia, and that's already, it hasn't even been going that long, and it's already going great without any sort of promotion. It's just Russia was another one not long before that, and next thing they were ordering containers of product. We've stopped supplying that now because of what's happened there, and we don't have an easy way to get paid for it, so that's on hold. Other markets, there's, I mean, it comes back to, I guess, if we know that if we actually told them about all the different markets, this is something else we've realised we really should be doing, is we could easily help our customers around the world get into many, many markets that we're in Australia and America and places like that, because the industries are the same. We already know how it's getting used, and the fact that a lot of these companies are international companies, we could really give them a leg up and show them how the solution happened here, and be able to give them all of those figures and the statistics and tests and things that we've done here. So it's the supermarket challenges, the medical industry challenges, all these things are pretty similar across the world. So it's really been a conscious decision that's where we need to be doing things in a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And we're leveraging the brand. I'll show you something else you can do with this. You can actually, it's already almost cut. But if you want something for a kid's lunch box, for example, there's a 6-cell sheet which will come up into bubbling 6 sheets. So these things can be cut to any size. You know, if I want a 1-cell thing, like for example, some Japanese customers that ordered them for sushi, I can cut that up, and that'll form a little ice pack. And once it's dropped in water and then frozen, it'll stay cold a long time. And yeah, they can be made bigger, smaller, whatever people want. Something we've done now too, which we actually just did a trade show in Australia just a few weeks ago. What was it called? Australian Gift Fair. And so many people came through. There was stores and hardware stores and gift stores and whatever that wanted to put this in their shops. And what we came up with for the show to show people is this packaging here. So they can either get smaller sheets in whatever quantities, or bigger sheets in bigger quantities, or whatever. And so that's the point of sale packaging, and that can hang on a hook or sit in a ice box or whatever. The products just go on the back there. So, and then the sheets we can put in a 10-kilo box, and we can get 250 sheets in a thanks, Ellie. We can get 250 sheets in a 10-kilo box. That's 6 of these. There's 24 on this sheet here, and that's 6 of them. So that's just been taken off there. That's what it's like when it's well.
Cool. You beat us to one of the questions there, Graham, which was, I think, particularly for the elderly people who might struggle with scissors or sharp objects. Is there the opportunity to have those pre-cut into, say, the single cells?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, these can be pre-cut. We can pre-cut these to whatever people want. So they're actually these are getting used already quite a lot in all kinds of markets where they're very soft and squashy. You know, there's a nylon layer behind this product, so you've got a textile on the outside, and then a polymer, then a plastic layer, and so it's flexible. You can wash it. It stays frozen a very long time, and just keep using it.
How long does it stay frozen for, Graham?
If you cut 1 cell, this is what a lot of tests that are done in industry to give you an idea, so you can look at any given situation. You cut 1 cell off and get an ice cube the same size, like this. There you go. You can put it in the freezer for, say, 24 hours. Put it next to an ice cube the same size. Bring it out and put it on the table. The Techni Ice cube will stay frozen 6 times longer than the piece of ice took to melt.
Wow.
So it's considerably longer. Apart from the fact, what am I doing? What? Sorry, they want me to drop it in there. I'm not sure why.
Add it to your cocktails, Graham.
Oh, it's all right. This is what happens when you get older. You get a bit slower.
You haven't slowed down at all. Speaking of the product and this amazing technology, Graham, do you own the patent or the trademark? Is it easy?
No, we don't. Look, there is no patent on these products. So the patents ran out 20 years ago, and we just keep improving the product, and we're not concerned about that. In fact, I'm a big fan of open source technology, so that it doesn't stifle innovation around the world. You can see that. I don't know whether they've given me a glass of water. So,
so you pop it in there, it absorbs the water. How long does it take to absorb the water, Graham?
well, long enough to give my fingers a good wash. I'm going to have such good fingernails after this.
We've got a question here. Well,
if I just leave that there, that'll keep swelling up. And,
very cool. And then you pop it in the freezer.
And then you pop it in the freezer. That's right. That's coming up now. Normally you would just put that in there until the air bubbles will come out. You only do this once, of course, when you first get them. And
how many times can you reuse it after you've obviously popped it in the water, popped it in the freezer?
We've got two models. This one here is our reusable model. We call it reusable, and it's very reusable. To give you an idea, we've had people, tell us that they're just replacing their Techni Ice packs after 20 years or something. They've been in the consumer market. And of course, the new models these days are very, very advanced compared to the early ones are. So we've continued to innovate. Now this one here, look, you can see that. It's job. Come up. And it's great if you want to drink a glass of water without drinking a glass of water. You can actually, the ice pack can drink it for you. It's great.
Love it. Now, Leanne,
why I'm not a comedian.
You crack me up every day, Graham. So someone's asked, you've compared obviously, a single ice cube to the Techni Ice. Do you get the same performance of the cooling without the Techni Ice box? How does that work?
Without the Techni? Oh, of course. Yes. If you, I meant to say too, this one here is what we call a disposable. Now, the only reason we call it a disposable is because it's got a textile on one side, whereas this one's got plastic on both sides, right? Textile, plastic, right? Underneath that plastic, of course, is textile to make it super strong so it doesn't split easily and so on. This one here we call disposable mainly because we supply a lot of these also into the, the medical area and things like that. So we want them to stay very hygienic. And because they've got a textile side on them, that's going to be harder to wash. So that's why we call them disposable. They're not actually disposable. Yeah, I mean, you can, but this one here, the double-sided one, depending how people use it, most of the industries on a sheet, they'll probably, depending how rough they are with them, supermarkets would tend to cycle them probably perhaps every 1,000 hours, something like that. But airlines probably something similar or less. Consumers, these would last for years. They're certainly stronger than a gel pack because if this got cut by something, the polymer doesn't come out because there's a nylon sheath behind that polymer. You can see there's a nylon textile. So that's behind the plastic on both sides. So the polymer actually sits in a plastic satchel and then has a plastic top around it, bonded onto it with the printing and to keep it washable.
Oh, fascinating. I'm learning a lot. This is really cool.
Yeah. And you asked me a question. Yes, it will keep any ice box better than what ice will if you match volume to volume. If you happen to use some of these Techni Ice boxes, yes, of course, it's going to last a heck of a long time, as ice would too in these. But I mean, it will last on average. If you always talk volume for volume, you need to compare apples to apples. So if you're going to use a kilo of Techni Ice, you want to be using a kilo of ice to make a comparison. So on. So, and it can be used hot as well.
Oh, who would have thought? We've got a question here. Someone's asked, are you exporting or planning to export the organ transplant box?
Are we wanting to transplant it to an organ transplant?
Are you exporting the organ transplant box, or are you planning to if you're not already?
Did you say organ transplant box?
The Techni Ice box.
Oh, sorry. No. We just made those for St Vincent's Hospital. So it's another one of those things we could do. So this is really the decisive thing now. You know, it's only 2023 is the first time we've even released any shares in the company. So we've been going nearly 4 decades without doing that, and now I think is the time. I'm getting older. We've got a great guy that's been working with us since 2019, Piyush, and you know, he's a pretty dynamic soul, and we're just going to keep going. There's so many verticals that we can do here, and so that's what we want to do.
Awesome. And speaking of comedians, we've got Simon who said, sounds like people are dying to get involved. Pardon the pun.
That's very true. Sadly.
Love it. We've got a question here while we're on the topic of, you know, international expansion. Would Techni Ice consider, or do you already work with China?
We did actually send, I think, about 500,000 sheets to China many years ago. It was our first order there, and we didn't know what the writing was that they asked us to print on it, and it turned out it said something like made from wood. Anyway, so we don't know what happened with that in the end. The partners there had some sort of problem and with each other, and so that we finished up. You know, they both wanted us to supply them separately and whatever. In more recent times, we have had inquiries now that we're going to supply it into abalone. No, not abalone. What's the fish eggs called? Whatever fish eggs are called.
Roe? Fish roe?
What are they?
Caviar.
Yeah.
Caviar. Oh, the good stuff. That's why I don't know it.
Yeah, so there's a big company that exports their fish eggs, and so they want to use it, and already that turned into inquiries in from the branch they have in the US. So that's something that's happening at the moment, but I haven't been handling it personally.
You've been busy working on chatting to all of your potential investors. Love it.
Yeah,
we've got another.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure you loved having a yarn with everyone.
Yeah.
We've got a question here. They've asked, are the boxes and ice packs manufactured in Australia or overseas?
The ice packs are manufactured in Australia. We're doing most of our ice boxes in Thailand and a plant in Thailand. Oops, I've got to keep looking up to this. We also build stuff in Indonesia as well. What we're trying to do, we're working towards having a reciprocal arrangement in countries where we can sell product to and export products to. If we can find quality manufacturing plants there, we'd like to, which is what's happened in Thailand is a good example. We sell a lot of our Australian-made product there. So if we can, we'll bring product in from Thailand, providing they make our designs and can make the high quality that we expect. We're very happy to look at that. And ultimately, I'm hoping that we've got warehouses in all of these countries so that we've got stock readily available, so we cut all the shipping costs.
Oh, we've got a few questions here about the environmental impact of the ice packs.
Yeah.
Someone's asked, how are they disposed of, and what's the environmental impact and sustainability of these? Okay.
Look, their main environmental advantage is they save trillions of water. I mean, nearly half the planet's in drought. So in that case, people aren't buying ice and then just watching it turn to water. Then they've got a plastic bag that came in, they've got to, throw out. So that side of it, as far as saving water, that's a huge motivator for us. And we hope we can continue to make a big difference there. And that's really what's motivating us to put out these vending machines into service stations and stores and so on. As far as breaking it down, it breaks down under UV light so if you want to break it down, you'd put it down, you know, on a concrete stand or something, and eventually it'll break down. So in a pile.
Oh, and someone's also asked, does the ice sheet deteriorate over time or give a smell?
Does it smell?
Over time, does it, deteriorate, or does it develop any kind of smell?
Yes, definitely. If you left it in an esky that was closed up, and you had a pile of fish in there or something like that, yeah, definitely it would start to stink. Yep. I mean, it lasts for a long time, but it's still gonna smell pretty bad. We've had situations where vets have called us, you know, that they've been alarmed that someone, you know, left some meat or some fish or something in a cooler, and then the dog's gone and eaten it, and they wonder whether it's toxic or non-toxic, and they asked us what they can do, and I guess if they last long enough, I'll have some ice blocks come out the other end, but you know, it's not toxic, and we've seen plenty of animals seem to eat it and survive. It doesn't taste so great if it's had seafood stuck on it for months, though.
I bet. I'm certainly not going to test that theory. Awesome. So we've had a question of someone who jumped on a little bit late to the Q&A and was just wondering, I guess, the purpose of this raise. Could you elaborate a little bit about it? I know we've mentioned, it's not really to increase technology, it's more to increase, your expansion, but maybe if you could elaborate on that a little bit, and, if it's production or if it's marketing costs, just a little bit of insight there would be great.
Look, actually, I can't take the credit for this whole thing that's happened. Piyush, he was the one that suggested crowdfunding. I've been talking about, it'd be great if we had an inner circle of Techni Ice people we could bounce ideas off and whatever. And that really suited us perfectly, because, what would be better than, we've had a ton of interest from customers that actually own products, generations of people that have owned our products. And what could be better than having a huge inner circle of Techni Ice passionate customers? So we want to be able to have a big ring of people that we can, send first release products out to, and get them out there, get people using them and giving us feedback. But also there's a lot of passion there. Maybe some people watching this that have owned some Techni Ice products or know someone that does it. And we were blown away by the amount of passionate customers we have that, we've always had people express interest, that they see what we're doing and they want to become part of it now. We've got a tool, I guess, to do that. But as far as, so that's a big thing for us to be able to, let's turn this volume, I'm getting feedback. It's a big thing for us to be able to have a pile of passionate people that we can have as a Techni Ice inner circle of shareholder owners, and be able to find out what they think is a great thing. If any markets we're not in that they see an opportunity for, we don't want to be so arrogant to think we know everything, because we don't. So that's that side of it. The other side is, yes, it's a great way to fund things. So I'd never even heard of it before. Before we started crowdfunding, I didn't know what it really entailed. So it's great because it will allow us to grow, have a big growth spurt across the world, which is great. And what better thing to do than to carry a lot of passionate Techni Ice people with us on the ride. So that's where that's come from.
Oh, we did have a question who was asking, sorry, let me find it. Sorry, everyone, I'm scrolling through all of your questions and I get a bit lost.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go for it. Yep.
If you see my eyes frantically scrolling through the screen, I've lost it. Where'd it go? And I can't wait. We've got quite a few of those passionate people that you've just mentioned on here with some fun stories to tell you. Right. So I'm going to read those out at the end.
Yeah.
Someone said, where's it gone? Crikey. They basically said, why this over an IPO? And I think that really highlights to everyone, you know, the passion of and the real reason and the people behind, you know, this decision. And I think it's a great way to, you know, have all of these ambassadors come on, as you've said, come up with really great ideas. Even some of the ideas that have come through tonight, it just sounds, you know, really exciting.
All ears. Yeah.
All ears, love it.
I'm just drinking this this glass of water that they've
That you've
so
just washed
back
your
in.
hands
So,
in.
here you go,
Yum.
guys. This is confidence air product.
I'll let you have a quick drink. So we've got a few. See, that just shows how, you know, safety
No
of the
mushrooms
product.
in this one. Yep.
No. So a few people have asked about the vending machines. Could you explain a little bit about that strategy? And we've got a few subsequent questions as well about the vending machine.
Yeah. The vending machine is just a concept stage at the moment. We want to make sure that that it can be used, you know, that it's totally up with digital technology and makes it easy for people around the world to pay for their ice packs. And there's other areas we're looking at, you know, whether we deliver the product to the machine hydrated or whether we get the machine to hydrate it. So there's some stepping stones there. We're very confident that this is going to be huge around the world. All the feedback we've had from this whole concept we've got going here is amazing. So yeah, I suppose watch this space, but this could take a while to bring this to market. We've got the right product. We've got we've got a machine that we want to really develop and make sure it's perfect. And we've already had quite a few people wanting to buy machines, you know, and so I think a lot of people are sharing our vision and know that if we put these out into servos and things, that they're going to be a hit.
I think a couple of those might be on this call, Graham.
Yeah, they could be.
Yeah.
I think we've been around for so long. People just want to know what we're doing all the time. So anyway.
Exactly. Someone's noted here that they saw one of your coolers on the Frankston Freeway about 30 or 40 years ago. I think it was 30 years ago.
Oh, that'd be right.
There you go. We did have a question about your market share in Australia. And what's your marketing plan compared with, say, Yeti, which has become very successful?
What was that? I missed the last bit.
So what's your market share like in Australia? And do you have any marketing plan, say someone like Yeti, who's, you know, become quite successful in recent years?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's something else that, well, I mean, I guess the first of that's going to happen now. Our main market has been the commercial market, government and corporate markets. And so, you know, that and so we keep everything at that quality, the commercial market quality. It's not like we have a cheaper version for the consumer market. So for consumers wanting, you know, the best, they'll buy a product because it's got its roots in the commercial market. We hadn't, you know, we used to sell stuff in the consumer market for people that contact us directly, things like that. We still have a steady flow of customers that love it. Ever since our big box over here come out and beat Yetis and everything else that was put up against by miles, that it's created an absolute surge of interest. And now is the time to put that into America. And we obviously got recognised here by you'll see them soon out in one of Australia's biggest outdoor retailers around the country. So no doubt, they've seen the potential in it. There's nothing that we know of in production anywhere in the world that can beat this thing, and it's a production icebox. So Yeti, watch out.
You heard it here first. I think that's answered a couple of questions on the list here too, Graham. So thank you. Someone asked, are there any competitors using the same products? I think we've covered that. Yeah. And we had another one as well. So we had a question we've got quite a few questions on some financials, which I'll give a little bit more information on about it shortly. But Greg's asked, you've showed sales of $150 million. Over how many years was that over?
Oh, that's over years and years. We don't do that every year, God.
Wouldn't that be nice?
No, that's taken that's it, since we really started doing the product. Long time. I keep getting told to look at the camera here.
Oh, it's all good. All good.
That's over decades.
Great. Yeah. And on that note, everybody, the offer document, when it is released, will have all of the financial statements. So someone else has asked about the financial statements. So you'll be able to see the last financial year's financial statements and loads of other information about Techni Ice and what they've been up to, and a little bit about their strategy and things like that. But any of your more specific questions, do please reach out to Techni Ice, Graham and Piyush when he's back from his trip. I'm sure we'll be super thrilled to have that conversation with you. I'm sure you can see there's so many questions, so little time. So the team are really happy and really thrilled by all of your interest, and really, really happy to have that conversation. So if you've got any more questions, as I said, we're trying to power through these. We've got lots still to answer. So the team will be in touch for any of those questions that we've not yet covered. I've just as well, we've got a question about the process and is there a minimum amount we're seeking? So currently we're in the expression of interest phase. If anyone's new to crowdsource funding, or perhaps you went through, Techni Ice's recent round of crowdsource funding, could be a little bit different this time. So we're in the expression of interest phase. Generally, this only lasts for a few weeks. So we're about the midway point at the moment. So if you've not already expressed interest in Techni Ice, please do so and keep a really keen eye on your email, because you'll be first to find out when the investment offer opens. Now, it will open is in an early access period exclusively to that expression of interest list. And, offers do sell out within that period often. So do make sure that you express your interest so that you're first to find out when we're going live, and you'll be able to invest using that priority access. So if you've got any questions on that, we have a help guide on the Birchal website. As I said, the team are more than happy to have a chat, or you can email our support at birchal.com. Much more information about that and the process is found at birchal.com. So do please check that out as well. I'm just seeing if there's any quick questions that we can answer on the way out. We've got a question, net profit or loss for 21-22. That'll all be covered. Or the financial statements, that information will be in the offer document. A few questions on exits. I do really encourage you to read up on crowdsource funding and the regulations around that. There's quite strict regulations from ASIC about future and projections of financial information that all crowdsource funding offers need to adhere to. So I do encourage, if you've got any questions about that, have a look at our help guides. And obviously, please do consult the offer document, constitution, particularly if it's about dividends, consult the company's dividends policy as well, constitution and that offer document when making your decision to invest. I thought I might end on a few of the fun ones. Someone said, go Selena behind the camera. Absolute champion there, keeping everything running. Someone said, where are we? We've got some really fun ones here. Too many to count. I can't find them all. Lots of loving what you're doing. Everyone's obviously here because they love Techni Ice. They love you, Graham. I think you're a bit of an Australian institution. Australia's ice cooler version of Kylie Minogue, I think. So on that note, I might hand over to you to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you from Birchal to everyone who's joined. Really appreciate you coming along to these sessions. They're really fun for us to run. As I said, if you've got any questions about the process or if we can help you on the platform at all, please absolutely reach out. We're more than happy to help. And that's enough from me, because you're not here to hear from me. I'll let Graham sign off, and have a beautiful night, everyone.
Okay. Thanks so much for coming and seeing what we've been doing, and hope you would like to be part of what we're doing. So we've got some really great people here, and just nice to be getting Aussie designs and things around the world and beating things. So see you when we see you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.